Welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast, a production from Empowering Pumps and Equipment as the voice of the pump and related equipment industry. Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 70 of the Empowering Industry Podcast. This is coming out on August the 23rd, 2021, which still is amazing to say. So 2021. Yeah. I'm your host, Charli Matthews, and I'm joined by my co-host, Bethany Womack, who is also the producer. She doesn't write that in the notes, y'all, but she produces this, and it's amazing to see you, Bethany.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here with you again. You came back again, like you were back for a week, and now you liked it
I'm
so
still
much.
Here.
You're still dedicated. She's here to stay, everyone. Like we hope that you are. And so, thanks for choosing us like you do every week. Leave us a rating and a review, and it helps other listeners find the show. Today, we're going to be covering something from social media that you need to know. We're going to preview the news from Empowering Pumps and Equipment and then introduce you to an industry influencer. And this week, we're skipping our weeks, Charli, because we have an exciting announcement to share with our listeners from Empowering Women.
Yes, we are now accepting awards nominations for Empowering Women, and that's going to go through September the 10th. And I've already seen so many coming through, and it's just really a great way to highlight women in our industry and show their awesome work and everything that they're doing. And just, I know for my own self, I've met so many different women that I would want to nominate for an award. So just take a moment, think about it, and see who would you really like to give a high five to and say, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, the awards are my favorite part of the event. I think definitely from 2019 and last year, because I won one, no big deal, sitting on my desk. But it's just like a really fun way to remind people of how great they are. And even nominating someone, even if they don't win, we're going to highlight every person that was nominated so that we can share with our industry how awesome they are. So your 12 categories that you can nominate someone in. Drum roll, where I took out that sound effect. Great. Tradeswoman, mentor, marketer, leadership in STEM and STEAM, innovator, emerging leader of the year, industry advocacy, saleswoman, leadership in manufacturing, leadership in reliability and operations, and then leadership in diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And then I get to pick one, which is the Empowering Women of the Year, which was Bethany last year, since she empowered us to have our conference virtually. So we just have a really great time and really highlighting all of these categories because it's so important to reach across industry and get to know people outside of your everyday space. We learned so much from that. I know in 2019 we did. And so if you have any questions, you can call me, text me, email me. But really you just fill out a form. So it's just a few questions that you have to answer, including the why you nominated this person. And, our committee is going to look through that. And so it's a Google form. It's really simple. And, we'll put the link in the show notes. And then, that's the easy part. The hard part is picking the winners. And I'm glad I don't have to do it.
Yes.
I'm glad we have the committee.
Yes. The first year I helped read through those and I it's a lot. And it's
a challenge to pick.
I took it very seriously. And I know our committee does as well, because we want to get the best winners that we can. And, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you mentioned it earlier, but we want to highlight all these women. Mm-hmm. They're all winners. It's a really great opportunity to just showcase, hey, we're here. We're doing great things in the industry. And we want to make a better workforce for the women who are here and the women coming into the industry. So I think we've said we loved it, right, Bethany?
Yeah. And I mean, while you're here, while you're captive audience, Quick pitch for Empowering Women, the event as a whole. The program's up on the website for you to check out. It's going to be an in-person and virtual conference on October 21st, right after WEFTech. So if you're going to be at WEFTech, make plans to stay for an extra day so you can attend our conference, or you can just attend the gala to see who wins the awards if you want to do that as well. And there are a few sponsorship opportunities still open if your company really wants to showcase to this audience that you're a big supporter of women in the industry. I think there's not a better place to do that, if I do say so myself.
I absolutely agree. And, just in general, for our HR managers who are listening, if you've been tasked with diversity, equity, and inclusion, this is a great way to show that. We will talk about, male allies. We have several men speakers this year that will also be there. And so I just think that if that's a goal that you have, which is being dictated to our corporations out there, just take advantage of that, and we will help you show that your company is committed to this. So anyway, I could go on for days about that.
Love it. Stay tuned. We'll have a special episode all about empowering women coming out at some point this fall. So be on the lookout for that. And for now, we're going to go ahead and get social.
I love it.
This is where we're going to tell you something you need to know about social media that's going to help your personal brand or your company marketing strategy.
And so we also like to tell you how to get social. And one of the ways that we do that is to invite you to our virtual meetups, which are coming up. Empowering Women's is September the 8th. It's a Wednesday. It's every second Wednesday. If you want to go ahead and put that on your calendar at 11 Central Time. And then that's 11 a.m. Y'all don't try to, talk to me at 11 p.m. I'm asleep.
We're not that crazy. Charli's heart valve works now, but she's not up for partying all night long. Okay. Don't get crazy.
Okay. So our Empowering Brands meetup is going to be Tuesday, September the 21st. And that's every third Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah, you have to pre-register for those events. When you do that, you're sent the Zoom link, and then you're ready to go. You're good to go. Turn on your camera, say hi, hang out with us. It's a fun time.
Yes. On that note, you can get a shout out on our show just by staying connected with us and mentioning us at Empowering Pumps or using the hashtag Empowering Industry Podcast. Do that.
She was going to keep talking because she saw her name, because my shout out is to you, Charli. We had a couple of great episodes of the podcast come out last week. If you're listening to this on Monday, we had our Monday episode with Dr. Brooks, which I thought was really good, about teaching engineers how to communicate their projects with non-engineers. Highly appreciate that. And then a bonus episode that came out on Thursday with Dr. Barbara Sweeney is, I think I said her
Yes,
last
you
name
did.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's just an amazing person that I just wanted to put on my shoulder to give me little words of inspiration. She does a lot of leadership stuff. She was a superintendent in the Alabama school district, and just had a lot of great leadership tips and advice. And so if that's your jam right now, you definitely need to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, she's amazing. She inspires me too. And the funny thing is, I've never met her in person, but she feels like my best friend,
Yes.
So definitely shout out to her. And then I wanted to shout out Rob Calvarowski. He did a leadership and also how our leadership affects our mental health. But he did that for the Women in Manufacturing Alabama group, and he did such a great job. And I just thought it was a great time with Mental Health Awareness Month being this month. And, but I was really fascinated at the tools that he gave at the end of what people can do to have psychological safety within their organizations. And for that manufacturing crowd, I just thought that was really, really amazing. So thank you, Rob, for taking the time to, pitch some Alabama ladies, say a little Roll Tide. He wore his jersey that I had sent him, which was awesome. Yeah. And there were Auburn people on the line, but I thought it was, but he ties it in. He says, there's even like in football, you kind of sometimes feel like you don't belong. And we want everybody to feel like they belong, and especially if they're in our work environment every day. Okay. So my second shout out is HJ, and I just wanted to give him an extra emphasis, I guess, because on the video that y'all created for Empowering Pump's 10-year, HJ mentioned all of our brands, and he also mentioned Empowering Industry. And that's the podcast. And so I just thought, HJ, way to pay attention to our brands, right? Like he's like empowering brands and pumps and women and industry. And so I just thought, okay, he's paying attention. So thanks, HJ, and thanks for saying yes to doing the leadership summit that's coming up too. We'll have to continue to put that resource out there as well. So Rob and HJ both will be, and that's August the 30th is our leadership summit. So
we should put that in the podcast somewhere.
I know. Maybe news.
Okay. When we get to news, we'll let Charli give us a preview of the leadership summit. Okay. So today is all about how you get more user-generated content and then how you strategically use it to increase your bottom line. So to recap, user-generated content is any content that comes from a user, a person, someone that isn't a company. So it's not going to come from your company page, but it's something that someone else creates, whether it's a text, a post, a video, a review, anything like that. And it's great because it's authentic and it inspires brand loyalty, builds a community, builds trust. And you can get it from, your customers, your advocates, and even your employees.
Yeah. And we went through this on the last podcast. So if you missed that, go back and listen to that podcast to kind of see what is user-generated content. But today we're going to talk to you about strategies and how to get more from this user-generated content. So first, using a dedicated hashtag and promoting it. And I think that and promoting it is key.
Yeah.
For us, we use Pump Talk, and it does take time for, to get people to know that you're using a hashtag, and then they are, okay, what is this hashtag about? And then they start using it. So we use it on graphics. We share it every week. We have Pump Talk tips. We comment and interact with that, any post with that hashtag, and we look to see who's using it. And so I think that you got to think of something that represents your brand. For us, we love pumps and we love to talk. We're really about connecting people to all the things they need to learn about the pump industry.
Which you need to like tell on yourself to tell people what the original iteration of it was that you changed to Pump Talk.
Because that's right. So I go back and we're talking about 10 years, like so many things that I tried that failed. But our first Twitter channel was at Pumping Tweets. And that's just like a no-go. Okay. Like finally, like that doesn't work. And there's some things that, you Google pumps all the time, like Navy pumps, you get blue pumps, so it's not like the Navy's pumps. So just you got to really research this stuff and see what people are comfortable using. But it's a great way to tie something specific to your company and the industry. So think about it and come up with something. You can do something fun like a contest, a giveaway, and use that hashtag. But remember, if you start it and you're like, okay, I really want to use this hashtag forever, then make sure you're engaging with it. You can't just do a contest and it be over and then you never use that hashtag again and expect people to pick it up and use it. It's going to go away with that campaign. So you've got to put in the effort. Yes, we have people, especially on Instagram, using our Pump Talk hashtags.
I love it.
And you just got to interact with it, right?
Yeah. Another way to get good content is to get more reviews, capture more testimonials. And so ways that you could do that is you can send a survey out to your customers. And that's a good way to capture a lot of data. But so if you know that you're sending a survey out to your customers, maybe go and talk to those people and be like, hey, can we add a couple of spaces at the bottom of the survey where we can get testimonials or reviews for our products that we can use? You can also ask in any kind of one-on-one customer calls or interviews. So your salespeople are going to know who they talk to and who would be a good source for those type of reviews and testimonials. You could even add it as an automated part of your like new customer onboarding. So if when people sign up and they become like a regular customer, if they're automatically sent a bunch of stuff, you could include that form or questionnaire to capture their reviews and testimonials that way.
Yeah, just learn. Why did you say yes to us, right? Why did you
Yeah.
buy from us? It's great to have that knowledge for one. The other one is to ask for these video testimonials. Identify customers, like she said, that are happy, that are in this
Yeah.
delight phase, if you will, and look for that and really see, okay, why did they buy from you? Ask the people who are really using your product to because they're going to know if they're using it, they're going to know what the benefits are, and they'll be able to represent that in a good way on the video. You also want to make it really easy for them. So some people aren't comfortable with this. They might need some tips, like what type of system they should use. Should they have some good light? What should they wear? All these questions that people really have when doing a video. We're self-conscious in this. All of us are. And then
a year and a half in, we've been doing videos for like
it
6 months
like
or so on the podcast, and I'm still uncomfortable. So like it's gonna hurt. It's fine. It'll look fine.
That's right. But if you're asking them to do this for you, give them an outline, give them some tips, because you've done it, we've done it, and we can teach them. Okay, this is the easy way to do it, and it's if you don't love it, then you can delete it, right? So just try it out and be helpful, because that's what this is all about: is being helpful and being there for your customers. So
yeah. And keeping with our theme of looking for reviews, the other place that you can find reviews are on third-party sites, apps like Yelp or Glassdoor, and find out what people are saying about you. And I think one kind of theme that we don't talk about a lot when we're talking about B2B is that, yes, you're marketing to your customers and your potential customers, but you're also marketing to future employees and people who are going to want to join your company. And so places like Glassdoor is really important, because that's where people are going to go to kind of look and try to glean what your company culture is and all of that kind of stuff. And so finding reviews on those websites, you can find them, and then, you could share them out, and you can initially search those websites, but then setting up a good Google alert is always pretty helpful for your company name, so you can find out what people are saying about you, a la social listening. Google alert, set up your company name, and you can find some more of these third-party reviews.
I would also recommend that people set up their name, so if they're if the world is if the world is talking about you. On that note, lean on your employees, right? Okay, you're highlighting your employee culture. It's a great way to get your audience to see the best part of your company, which is your employees. Companies, the industry, it's really all about the people. And so we want to highlight the people that are closest to us, our employees. So ask them if they want to do some social media takeovers for your pages, or just give you a shout out every now and then would be great too. I think that one of my favorite things that we do is kind of these content. I don't know if maybe it's a contest, maybe it's just showing photos of our families, but give employees, something to share, like for example, the photo contest of the cutest pet, or, if you have your audience kind of vote on the best party theme, or just something fun. Okay. Like think about what your company culture is. What do they like? Ours likes Pokemon and trivia and puppies. And so we go there.
Which National or International Dog Day, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's coming up, and we have our Pump Talk pups that we're going to share. You all know Woodrow. He's been on the podcast, but Amber just got a new dog named Ash, who we're excited to add to those photos. And this year, Charli has her puppy to share for that day as well.
Who is bigger than my child. So my 11-year-old child, the puppy's bigger. So it's hilarious. Okay. Tell me about life at Yelp.
Okay. I added in this example and then forgot that I gave it to you to talk about, and you don't know this, but I think a good example that I see on the regular is Yelp. The company Yelp uses a hashtag and even created separate social accounts called Life at Yelp, which is all about just featuring their employees that work for Yelp.
Awesome.
Yeah, right.
I wish I had thought of that.
I know. A friend of mine, Cal, they work at Yelp, and they'll share posts that are about them, that, they've been featured for different kind of days and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, Yelp looks like a really awesome place to work for. All of these people are happy to work there and they're sharing the content about themselves. And I just thought that was a great example that came to mind when talking about using your employees for user generated content, and something that y'all could all go look up and see the kind of content they're sharing.
I love it.
Okay, so now onto the butter, the bread and butter. Where do you use it? How do you use it? First thing you can do is add it to your website and the collateral that you're pushing out. So pretty easy. Make sure you have a page or somewhere on your website for testimonials and reviews that you've captured. You've done all this work. You've sent out the surveys. You have all these reviews. Now you need to have it somewhere where people can see. You can look at your FAQ page and see if you can add any of your customer reviews in. If any of your customer reviews help support a question or an answer that you're giving on an FAQ page. So add them in there. Make sure there's somewhere on your website where your social feed is on display on your website. So like where you can see, like on our Empowering Women page at the bottom, we have whatever we've just posted on Instagram is going to be there. So if you're sharing your content as social, which Charli's going to talk about in a minute, it's going to show up on your website. You can also feature a customer in some kind of regular post that's going out, or an email or a blog, kind of like we do for Person of the Week. That's user-generated content. That's answers that regular people have given us. And then make sure you're including it in your sales collateral. I'm talking like flyers, onboarding materials, those kind of things.
Yeah, so many good examples. And, we had talked about, what to share on social media. So we could go in, I could go in and talk about this for days, Bethany. But we're going to talk about, making a dedicated day to share these. And I think this is really helpful to be able to share user-generated content, say on a Wednesday. Your team's going to know that Wednesday you're supposed to share this. Maybe it's, Women Crush Wednesday. I don't know. But there is, different days of the week, but pick one so that your team knows. And then also people out in your audience will expect it on that day. So we also have Pump Talk Tuesdays where we give tips and facts about pumps. Go out there and repost, retweet, reshare your user content. So you post it on your page, and then you can also go and look for other people's, your partners, your customers, and kind of interact with their posts. Generate your own graphics with the user-generated content. That's both photos. We've got so many photos to share, y'all. So shout out to Bethany right here of all the photos that she's captured. But also these testimonial videos and videos from events and these type of things, showing the real audience, showing the people that interact with you, your customers. It just makes such a difference.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, do some social media takeovers. So feature your employees and your customers in stories. So for Instagram, it's one of my favorite things to do. And you've got stories on all the platforms now. If you don't know that, go back and listen to some of our previous episodes.
I need to do that, so I remind myself to be doing LinkedIn stories. I know it's a thing. I know it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you mentioned something earlier about posting your videos to your website. And I think that's really important. I think it just made me think we need to post our, videos that were created for the model call there. So there's just so many things that you can do to highlight your people. So anything else? That's your question to me, but do you have anything else?
I think like user-generated content in general is a really great way to find out what people think of you. And just the important thing, I think, is building that relationship with your audience and making them feel valued. And that starts by having a conversation with them, listening to them, sharing the content. And you're going to notice it everywhere. Now that you are thinking about it, you're going to see lots of brands sharing it. And, I would love to see y'all's user-generated content for us. For one, we'll share any user-generated content you want to see. You want to send us at Empowering Pumps or brands and how you're using this. But then also that the companies you're working with, I'd love to see an influx of, customer content that you want to share.
Absolutely. We love seeing it. We love seeing, your products and your customers engaging on your page. When there's a video that's good, I'm like, high five to that company, right? Okay, we've talked enough social. You've got to pay for the rest. No.
Into the news. Okay, we're previewing the news that's going to be coming out on the Empowering Pumps and Equipment newsletter coming to your inbox 2 times this week. We are going to start by letting Charli preview the Leadership Summit for us, since we talked about that briefly.
Yes. So the Leadership Summit is going to be August the 30th. This is from 9 to 2. And we have some really great people. They're really, I have some big fans and leadership after these almost 20 years in the industry. But HJ, who we talked about earlier, Rob Kalwarowski, Barbara Sweeney, we talked to all of them on this particular podcast, will be on the summit, as well as, and I'm going to forget everyone, so I'm not going to go through the whole list.
Yeah,
but,
sorry I sprung this
also
on you.
Tom, he will be our next episode, I believe, too, on the podcast. So anyway, there's just a lot of leadership conversations. We're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about, sustainability. We're going to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion. It's going to be great. So register. We'll put the link in there.
Yeah. And so it's free to register for. And then you can have access to all of the videos and listening to people talk. Do you think it's just is it for people that are currently in leadership roles, or is it for people that, maybe they're not anybody's boss? Would they still get something out of this?
Absolutely. I would say both. I think there's enough content for everyone. I think that it's for a person who wants to be a better leader. So wherever you are, if that you're brand new to the industry, but you are driven and you're wanting to lead, this is going to help you. And it's also for our managers who are trying to lead people. We've got to create leaders to go from more hierarchy leadership to people-centric leadership. And so, I think we call it Leadership 2.0, but we're going to learn a lot about what we need to do for ourselves and what we need to do for others as far as leadership goes.
Perfect. Okay, so sign up for that. The link is in the show notes. And this week, the person of the week that we're highlighting is Reuben Gonzalez Aldama from Panametrics.
Yes. And, we're in a hard time right now. And I think that his quote that he gave us after going through this pandemic was right on point. Change will always happen, whether you are prepared for it or not. So be ready to push your limits. Not every day at work will be fun, but you should enjoy what you do so that you want to come back the next day. And I think that's really great advice. I think look for something that you love to do, but work is not always fun. I love that. Sometimes you just have to push through and do the work that's necessary to be successful. But I think it's easier to do when we expect that. When we expect, not every day to be awesome, but to overall have that joy of your job.
Yeah, you were talking about mindset for the Leadership Summit, and I think that's a great mindset to have in life.
Absolutely.
You can nominate anyone for Person of the Week. We want to feature awesome people in this industry that are doing awesome things. It's really easy. You just put in their name and email, and we do the rest and contact them to get all of their answers.
Awesome. Okay, for our news with Empowering Pumps and Equipment, we have Foot Valves 101. Yes, I said Foot Valves 101. Foot valves are critical in preventing pump burnout. Similar to a check valve, pump, and foot valves are spring-loaded and installed at the end of a pump suction line. When the pump is turned off, the foot valve stops the water and prevents it from flowing backwards. That's why, for me, I felt like this was a backflow valve when I read this, backflow prevention valve. So kind of think about that. It's an inexpensive mechanism that ensures that the pump remains primed, preventing expensive damage. They allow water to flow in and prevent it from flowing back out. This makes it ideal for use in pools, ponds, wells. They can also be used in hydraulic pumps that are pumping liquid, and they are also ideal for industrial applications, for pneumatic pumps that move gas. This article talks about different types of foot valves, tips for using them, and so much more. And for me, I had never heard it called a foot valve, but that's what it is. And
you learned something new.
Yes. Thank you. Check All Valve Manufacturing Co. I'm just grateful for sharing the knowledge with us. Grateful for you being a partner of us. Check All. So keep sharing that awesome content.
Yeah. the story I'm sharing with you today is titled Graphalloy Bearings Running Reliably for a Major Food Manufacturer. And Charlie, I know that on like our team meetings, we talk a lot about food and beverage and how like pumps and related equipment play into that and how it's necessary, but it's not something I've had a lot of knowledge about or reading about. And so I found this article particularly interesting, and I have some fun facts that I'm going to share with you at the end of my preview. But so yeah, the article comes to us from Graphalloy, sorry. And it follows a maintenance planner and schedule from Frito-Lay and a rep from Graphite Metallizing Corp on a walkthrough of their plant there. So in 2020, they discovered a bearing that had been running with no signs of wear and tear for the last 6 years on, I think it was their potato chip fryer machine. And so they were like, hey, this has been running for 6 years. We've had no problems, no wear and tear. We're going to do a walkthrough with this company to kind of see where else we could maybe add in their bearings to also get some benefit from it. So the 3 key things that they found beneficial was that this type of bearing doesn't require any grease, which, you know, when you're talking about food safety, while there are some food safe grease products, if you don't have to have grease at all, that's going to be the optimal
Absolutely.
that you want. Yeah. It required no maintenance and it had a lot of longevity. They run everything to failure in their at their operation, and so they really need it to last a long time. The article goes into more depth about all of the pieces and where they added it, and I found it particularly interesting. But my fun food facts, okay, that I learned
This is
was that
awesome.
281 million Americans consume potato chips. So almost everyone, I think. And their potato chip fryer that they run at their plant that had this bearing on it that doesn't have grease, that lasted for 6 years, it cranks out 6,000 chips through the fryer an hour.
Wow.
I'm hungry and I want some
I
potato
know.
chips now.
Exactly.
But
Me
I'm
too.
thankful that our industry gets to be involved in water is vital to life, but food is vital to life too. And so it's kind of interesting to learn how pumps and related equipment operate in those environments as well.
That's why it's vital to life. It's because
Yeah.
we can eat without these things. Not just potato chips, but in general.
I could live on potato chips for a while. I'm just saying. Like, I wouldn't be healthy. Like, I might
definitely did that throughout my childhood.
the first.
We're having a good time today. Have y'all noticed?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, back on track. On to our industry interview. Charlie goes out and finds awesome people and interviews them, and to give you some kind of knowledge that you might need in this industry. So introduce our guest for us today, Charlie.
I will. It's a pleasure. Chris Brown, who was introduced to me by Henry Peck, he is the president. Chris Brown is the president. Henry is the CEO of Geiger Pump and Equipment Company, where he has worked since 1994. He is passionate about working there. He's a registered professional engineer, but also like such an amazing business leader. I've talked to him several times during the pandemic, and he is really focused on the people, which I love. He also does a lot of community service in Baltimore. He's an activist advocacy. He does a lot of STEM advocacy there. And
he's an advocate for the STEM
fields, yes.
program there. Yeah.
So he does this in underserved youth, for the underserved youth in Baltimore. He serves on a lot of different boards there. One that I'd like to mention is the Maryland Cystic Fibrosis Foundation and the Myron House, which I don't know what that is, but I want to dig into that a little bit more of Baltimore. I just think it's really great for the people who are leading companies to also have something that they stand for. And he definitely stands for STEM. And he also is just great at helping people. When I met him, they took us out to this restaurant and it felt like such a family oriented place that they probably take all of their customers to this place or whatever, but it was with their employees and they have that sense of community and family. And I just love that about the company. Definitely came down from Henry to Chris, and now he's leading the teams. So I think he's a great person in the industry. A lot of you will know him, and kind of the symposia that we've been missing out on. They have normally in September. There's the Geiger Pump Symposia, and you just so much to talk about. But I'll hush. I'll hear it in the interview.
Without further delay or any more of Charli's introduction, here is the interview.
Welcome, Chris. I'm so excited to have you as part of the Empowering Industry podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Charli.
Yeah, so it's been a while since I've seen you, but always a great time. Very family-oriented business that you work with. But I always have to start this way because I feel like I know you and I'm asking questions that, the rest of the world aren't, they're not familiar with you. So let's start with you, who you are and what you do.
Okay, I'm Chris Brown. I'm president and chief server here at Geiger Pump and Equipment Company. We have an office in Aston, PA, near Philly, and we have an office in Baltimore, Maryland.
And I've been there. I've been there to the facility, and it was so fun getting to meet everybody. And I think that you are used to that. You're used to opening up and letting people come and join you. I mean, before I met anyone, I heard about the symposia that you do. And so, tell us a little bit about that. What is that like normally? Is, I guess, bringing people into the plant.
It's mayhem. It's like a wedding reception on steroids. We have, it's awesome. First off, I think we're always so thrilled to see customers. We love our customers. And I think for both our customers and for our team, a lot of people, if you're an outside salesperson, you go to their plant, you see them. But most of their relationships are with people in our office, or people they don't get to see in person. So one of the first best parts is you just get to see that person that you've talked to all those years, and you get to see them together in person, and that's fantastic. We're also proud of our folks and proud of our place, and it's nice if you get to know me, but it's better if you get to know everybody else here, because I love us. And so we get a bunch of people come. In fact, we get 300, 400, 500 people come. It's one day, work hours, start at 7, done about 3. And we set up the day before. We break down that afternoon. Used to be harder. We got it down a little bit now. We've done a bunch of them, but we do it every other year because it's so much to do. We have remote parking. You got to take a bus to come and see us, but it's a blast. And the hallmark of it, and why I think people come back every year, is it's really hands-on. Us, we like to get our hands dirty. So it's you're going to work on pumps. You're not going to sit in a chair and watch somebody work on a pump. You're going to gather around a pump with your safety glasses and your gloves and your tools, and we're going to, get dirty and take some stuff apart and talk about what the little pieces and parts are and what to do, and try to learn from each other. And that's really, I guess, in the end, and you'll hear me talk about that a lot, is that it's about, I would talk about take care of each other, learn from each other. It's the symposium aspect, is you learn as much from the folks at the table with you as you do from me up front. So we love it.
Absolutely. And looking forward to that. So it'll be back in 2022.
22.
That's the goal. Okay. So let's get back to you. I really want to know how you got into the industry and kind of this path that got you to where you are today.
Yeah. So it's all these stories are always so funny. I have a daughter just graduated from college, and I'm trying to explain to her that anybody that tells you, oh, I knew always I wanted to run a plant, like, it's completely baloney. It's not true at all. I was working as an engineer in a like chemical plant environment. I working for an engineering firm, and Jack Geiger Pump, Jack Geiger, I knew because I used to cut his grass when I was in high school, and there was
awesome.
A pretty girl next door who I used to talk over the fence to, who I married, and so the Geigers came to our wedding because they were friends with my wife's family, and so they kept in touch with me. And a couple years after, I've been working for a while, and Jack called me one day kind of out of the blue and was like, you should come talk to me and Henry Peck. And I didn't know who any of these guys were. I thought Geiger manufactured pumps. I didn't understand the idea of like a distributor and that kind of stuff. So I came to see him, and it felt great. It seemed like it just right away, it felt like a fit. And the thing that impressed me always, and I try to keep it going now really hard, is that everybody seemed to pull the rope in the same direction, I guess I would say. It was every person you met had kind of the same idea, same philosophy. And so right away I knew it was like, ooh, I'm going to like it there. Came here, and that was 1994.
What? I think it does feel that way, just being an outsider coming to the facility, I've heard stories about it, right? Like I said, the symposia, but going to lunch with y'all and you knowing the families and really having a real conversation. I feel like maybe that's what Jack saw in you too, right? He saw your work ethic and saw, just how you were with people, and that had to play into it.
I'm sure. I think Jack just passed away, 90 something years old, lived in Florida. So he was a real captain of industry kind of guy. So honestly, it was an honor to know him and work with him all those years. And he built a great thing. And of course, Henry, you know Henry very well. Henry's really the guy that took it from that little company to where we are now. And I'm just trying not to mess up.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job. And I know Henry, he would be saying the same thing to you. Also a joy to meet. If y'all haven't had the opportunity to meet him, reach out. He's great to talk to. And y'all have to, fight over who got to be on the podcast first. But I'll definitely love talking to him anytime.
Sure.
So the reason why I can answer that is, I talked to you during the pandemic, and really our companies were trying to figure this out and really leaning on people in the industry and, what are we going to do during this time? And I thought you really took the right approach of, talking to people about it and kind of getting to know where they were. From your perspective, how was the pandemic and how did that affect you as a company?
Well, let's see. I would say, everything seems so much easier in hindsight. And of course, we were very lucky, Charlie. We really, I mean, and I can't believe it. I hate to even say it out loud and jinx it. We had no direct Geiger employees that had COVID. We have about 60 people, including our most recent acquisition, but we dodged all the way. We had some spouses, we had some kids, we had some parents, but nobody got it. And I think that in hindsight, it all seems like, oh yeah, well, this vaccine, it all works out in the end. And you know how the movie ends. But at the time, I think to me, the first step was to be honest with myself about how I felt. I was used to this lifestyle that was coming to work and going to Philly and going out everywhere. And, just like you said, I like people and I'm a big people person and big, a lot of socializing with customers and seeing customers lots. And all of a sudden being home, like that first week seemed like forever. And
yes, it did.
Having to, not just go like, oh yeah, I got this, but to go ahead and let it feel weird and feel bad, I think was a good first step because it helped us, I think, understand what everybody else is going through.
Yes.
I can tell you, we went home. It was exactly Friday, March 13th, Friday 13th. Mm-hmm. And I remember it like it was, this morning. And, but I think that when we talked to our folks about it, our theme just emerged, which is, I already said it on this call, is take care of each other. Mm-hmm. Take care of each other. Not just physically, but like do a little more, do more than your fair share. Reach out to somebody else, not just mental health, but even just picking up on a job that needs to get done or getting some off to a customer or whatever. Just start with take care of each other. And that theme was whether to be careful not coming in if you're sick with the poor shop guys that have to come in no matter what. You can't weld from home. Right. Just every method. And that was our theme. And then from there, I think we learned a million little lessons, and probably you give me credit for knowing the people here and stuff, and I appreciate it. But I think one of the things I learned is that there's so much more we should know about our team.
Oh, I mean, that's so true. And how they deal with adversity, and I mean, how their families operate, how you could really be a resource to somebody's family. I mean, going through this kind of heart surgery for me, so many people reach out to what can we do to help, and you don't even know the answer to that question, right? You don't know that, but I do know, like, well, I have 3 children, and so somebody's got to take care of them. So there's these things that we do need to know, and we got to see a little bit larger of a glimpse into people's world by Zoom or things like that. But not everybody was on Zoom. So to your point, you had to have the conversation, really ask how they were doing. How can you really help them? And, that was part of it for you. I know you had several workers, like similar to what you were saying yourself is, we used to go see our customers, and now they're not, you're not going in to see a customer. They're like, no, thanks. We're good. How did you adapt, and how did people adapt their role of being there for their customer?
Well, I think it was, I think if you're an outside salesperson, it's immensely challenging. I think that in our business, customers don't call and say, hey, I'm looking for one of these widgets. Customers call and say, that thing keeps overheating, or that keeps leaking, or the things that you need to sort of smell and touch and feel and taste. And so when you can't do that, that's a challenge. I think that that said, though, I think that where our strength was is that we were able to quickly discern and pivot to our customers turned into everything was about operational continuity. They really weren't interested. You could have the best thing on earth that cost half of what their thing they use now cost. Now's not the time to switch the thing, because they are trying to keep the plant running and stay open and put out whatever important product they're trying to put out, whether it's drinking water or food or fuel or anything. And we really were, I think also there was a realization that we really are in some important industries. That you can say that and make yourself feel good, but those days you're like, man, these are like, seriously, I mean, this is like the drinking water for town and stuff like, it's really important things. So
yeah, this is important that you show up for work, right? Like where the rest of the time you may have just wanted to be like, I'm going to take the week off because I just can't deal with this. But that kind of drives you to know like, well, this isn't, like you said, it's important, and then we have to have these things. So even a little extra stress and driver, however you want to say that, during the time.
But I think for us, it made us sort of focus more on, okay, what do we do to make them, to help them just stay running and all those kind of things at first. And then of course later it got back to like, okay, we kind of just figured out, and then we're back to our game. And about then you start getting to where you can sneak in here and there if they really need something. And then it starts to trickle back. I wonder, and I'm sure we'll get to this later, I wonder, though, I think sometimes there's some rather more permanent changes to the whole thing that I'm not sure what's going to happen, but some of this is never going to go back to like last year.
Well, that reminds me of like the supply chain issues and things like where we got our stuff from, and what were we able to receive them? Did the person you always worked with do well during the pandemic? Were they able to keep their operations running to feed that to you? I think some of those answers are yes, and some of those answers are no. And I think it does really matter on the leadership that was happening, whether the employees stayed around or they, took a break. But did you see a lot of supply changes in yours?
Honestly, during what you and I would think of as the meat and potatoes, last summer, last fall, not so much. I think honestly now we're seeing more, and I think everybody is. It's this crazy kind of uptick now that supply chain now all of a sudden. I think for a lot of people, declining sales hide a lot of sins, right? You can the cost, the number of orders is going down, and so everybody can be like, hey, our on-time performance is even better. And we think like even the pandemic we got stronger, we got better. We didn't. The number of orders went down, right? So it's a little bit of that piece. I also think that when I say some of those things that changed, I think because everybody started working more remotely, I think our industry, which can be we all know each other, right? You and I see each other around town kind of business, even in a national scale. All of a sudden, oh man, we turned into just like everybody else. We're just like Amazon. People want to know where's their order confirmation. People want to know, they want to see their shipping notification, all the things that I think a lot of companies like ours were, oh, we're not Amazon. That's not really where our market is. We quietly turned into that over the last year. Where now, because if you're not working in your office and you don't have all the visibility to like, you can't walk onto the floor and see what got down to your plant, you're looking for all those comfort things. And frankly, you got really comfortable and comforted by those in your personal life. Your groceries got delivered, your whatever streaming service, all those confirmation emails, all those touch points that I think most of the Geigers in the world have some, but we are not leaders in that space. And then all of a sudden everybody's craving that everywhere. And
I think that's part of that kind of digital trend that we were discussing too. There's so much about our industry that is slow to take advantage of some of the things that are out there, right? Just as a whole, whether we're talking drives or automation, it's going to be, what do you call it? Maybe some early adopters, but it's going to take some time. But what COVID did was, you're right. Like we got used to like, I want it right now. And there should be some kind of digital form that tells me what I need to do to buy lunch or to buy, a computer. And
to know where your order stands, right? Half the time it's not the how to order it, because we're pretty good at that because we're built for taking orders. But it's once the order's in, we're not used to giving you weekly status updates and shipping confirmations and a picture of it going onto the truck and all those things that in so much other parts of your life you got used to, even more so during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I think that there is, ways that we can still improve this, right? There's going to be continual ways. I know the software companies are just so excited, right? Of all the things that they could offer us. But we have to understand the business and take in time, which is important to understand the business, understand your customer's business. Um, so so just with that, as far as like supporting the workforce and how we can better do that, um, you know, is it looking for kind of better software, or what do you see as far as like support that was needed for our workforce?
Well, I think a couple things. One, I think it started with having, you're very kind when you say like, oh, we talked. I called you to ask you what to do because you talk to so many great people. And I
I'm like,
think
hold on, let me think who I
you
know that I
provide a
could
great,
talk to.
no, but really, it's a great resource. And that's the whole point of this network, is that you really get great people. You made me some awesome friends. And so having the network to compare notes, that's a big plus. I think that for our teams, I think really, again, it really goes back to that. We already were using Teams. We were already really in the cloud. If there was any luck we had, my favorite quote of all time is Louis Pasteur. He says, "Chance favors the prepared mind." And that's a bad translation of the French. But like, if you're kind of thinking about it already, when the thing happens, you're ready, right? So we had been in the cloud. We're really good at working from home. We left, and it was like, first week, I'm patting myself like, "Oh, dude, we got this."
Yes.
But what I keep coming back to is that the stuff that I should have already known, the things that were tough, like kids in school and what are you doing with the kids all day and all those kind of things. I can't really Microsoft Teams my way around that. I can't find it. I can get, we had the tools. Like I said, we're on the cloud, we're in SharePoint, we're doing all that fancy stuff. We feel really good. But at some point, if your kids are just running around, it got to where it used to be considered like unprofessional when my child came back in the background, and it got to be so regular and professional. And that's better. It should have been that way all along.
Yeah.
And I think that, to me, that was those kind of things was just the acknowledgement. I know it sounds like such a stupid little simple thing, but I think for us, part of it was that just the fact that you could be living your life with your spouse or your kid or your dog in the background or in the foreground, and just realize that people were working hard. They were doing their best. They were doing a great job for us and for our customers. And even if it meant they had to do it at 7:30 at night or whatever, that emotional toolkit, if we had anything that we gained out of it, I'm hoping it's that, because that's now these days you can bring your dog in like you always could, because we've always had a dog friendly workplace. But if your dog pops up in your screen on home call or something like that, no one even blinks. The whole country, we've all gained that ground.
Right. Yeah, and it was really, to me, that stress, that it was the stress of them showing up. It wasn't even, it was, let me rephrase that. It was the people on the other end of the screen and what you thought they were thinking about them showing up, because it wasn't affecting your work. You deal with it all the time, right? And anytime my dog kind of opens the door, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just keep going. But if I was really worried about what you thought about my dog coming in, my day is gone, right? Like, I'm just, over analyzing that over and over. And so what it did was like, we all have families, stop overthinking this. And, a breath of fresh air, and just wonderful that human side of us is shown. But it also gives you as a leader that, right? Like, as a leader, did you feel like it allowed you to kind of share more, like to be more vulnerable with everybody else?
Yeah, I think you know me enough to know I'm a pretty open book kind of guy anyway. But I think that if it gave us a chance to, still working at it, Charlie. I don't think we're there. I don't think we're close. But I'm trying to get across to people that we respect, that they're working really hard, that they're doing a great job. We have really great people. I keep saying that we are blessed with. I hear other people on your great podcast, and I think about like some of the things people talk about. We have low turnover and all those kind of things. I mean, we have people that are just, come at us, man. Come at me. We'll fight anybody, any street, anywhere, any alley. Let's go. And what it gives me a chance is, it gives me another chance to let them see that we believe in them, that I know they're working hard, whether it's at night or in weird hours. We have to take on that flexibility. that when I say, which I mean, I want us to be back together now. I wish we were back together more. And we're fully back as of about a week ago. But it isn't because I'm checking on you. It isn't because I don't believe you're working. It isn't because I think you're on the couch watching The Price is Right. It's because we need to continuously improve, innovate, collaborate, all those things. And it's on me, and it's my failure that we're not able to collaborate quite as well on teams. We're working really hard at it. I think Americans
I think that's a big thing to take on. As I think all of us can't connect in the same way as you can in person and feel the energy of the people in the room. I think you're taking on a little much there to say to create that environment digitally. I just don't know. I don't know that you could get the exact same level.
I don't think you can. I think though you've probably heard, I was listening to a Freakonomics podcast the other day about that. I do think it's on capitalism. It's on us though to look at tools because our folks want that more flexible work environment. Personally, right now, I'm not really able to deliver where, hey, work home 3 days a week and we're trying to get everybody back. And I wish I could. And I'm still trying to think about how. I haven't figured it out. But one of the things is just it's just that same productivity innovation. We have to innovate. And if I can work on productivity collaboratively with our team, and it's not under the guise of, I don't believe you're working hard if you're home, or I don't think you're really putting in the time. If I've gained some ground over this pandemic with, I respect you, I think you kick beep, all that stuff. Then maybe we can collaborate better even on things like that make it a better place to work.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, we also have to be clear that people have to work, right? And I'm not saying that you're not working, but at the end of the day, we do still have to work. And what is the best environment for you to be able to work? Mm-hmm. Because it's necessary. So how can we make that better? And I think that's the tricky part. And as people don't tell you, you can't know. And so it really is about that leadership.
As you said, I'm not going to, little Geiger pump, we're not going to figure that all the way out. But that is the I think the direction. Again, you have a lot of smart people. It's a competitive world. There's a lot of places to work. We got to make it a great place to work because those great people make that difference that our customers see. And we are not the vibrant business that we are if we're not improving always.
I love it. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the industry. We've talked a little bit about, where we are. But where are we going? Where's the industry headed?
It's interesting. I don't know. I think when I say I don't know, I don't know in terms of, I think there's a couple big picture topics that are going to collide, and I'm going to be really interested to watch and see how it goes. I think that as we have more digital information easily available at almost for free about equipment, right? Equipment, condition monitoring and all that kind of stuff. There's going to be this big sea change in the amount of data that goes from customers to suppliers. And frankly, as a distributor, you have this strange no man's land because you don't own the data or the data device. You don't own either end of that dumbbell, but you are the pole in the middle. You are the bar. It's because you have that intimacy of that site. You are more likely going to be the one that delivers that just-in-time service based on that data. But we have a model right now that's sort of a step-through model, and I think there's going to be this big thing of this data that's out there, and everybody's going to clamor for it. And honestly, I'm waiting to see when the customers all of a sudden go, wait, I don't want to give you all that data for nothing, because right now it just flows all around and no one really controls it.
Yeah, and I think so how I see it as all this data out there, and then if people can understand what a pumping system is supposed to do, no matter what data you have, you're not going to be able to make that successful. So I think the people who are really going to thrive are going to be the people that understand these digital solutions and the equipment and how it's supposed to run and the efficiencies and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see that, like you said,
we're counting on that. And I think that's true. And I think that what I think will happen also is that I think they'll also be in that same model. There'll be just so much more productivity coming out of more planned things. I really think that the industry is going to, in a lot of ways, switch to that service model. We used to buy WordPerfect. We used to buy Word. We used to, and now you give Microsoft $10 a month, or and you just have Office, and you don't really even notice it. And
you're not looking for that CD somewhere that you don't know where it is.
Yeah, and I think there'll be some of that happening. But in the end, I think still it comes down to you've got to, what you said in the beginning, you have to understand what their goals are, what they're trying to do, and there's no substitute for that. So I think that's true, and I think that's probably I don't think somebody's going to come up with a 200% efficiency pump or some big technology thing. I think it's just going to be that connectivity with data is going to be the big driver.
I like that surface aspect as well. So just as we've been talking, have you thought of anything else that's kind of on your mind that you want to share to our audience?
I think that the power of the network, like knowing you, I think if there's one thing I wanted to reinforce from our conversation, it was the ability to reach out to other people and talk about and connect with ideas and solutions. And I think whether it's that data topic we talked about, whether it's like this industrial type, really red meat potatoes, what we're doing, or whether it's that high level thing about, running your business or something, I think that there is, like your podcast and your whole network of friends, I think there's a lot of value in those connections. And absolutely. I think, we're open to, I'm all ears to anybody when they have ideas for how to get our not just the leaders, as you say, but everybody connected like that. And I'm really interested in learning more about that. And I can't wait to see all the good people you have on your next podcast, so I can keep learning.
Awesome. Well, you're definitely one of those key people that people should reach out to as far as networking. You know a lot of people too. And just bringing people together for that hands-on experience is also something people remember. So making memorable moments for people, y'all do that all the time. And so if anybody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so email is always good. I'm on LinkedIn, of course, like everybody, but cbrown@Geiger Inc. So GEIGERINC, GeigerInc.com. Anybody can email me anytime, and I always love to make new friends, as you know.
Awesome. Yes, and you are a great friend of mine, and so look forward to next time I get to see you in person. But until then, my line is be empowering. I don't know. I guess it just spills out of me now, but absolutely a pleasure to get to talk to you today.
Always love it. See you soon, Charlie.
And we're back. Charlie, thank you so much for bringing Chris on the show. It was a wonderful interview. And as always, I'm just happy to highlight these awesome leaders in the industry that you find for us.
Yes, I love it too. It's my favorite part. And so this is not my favorite part. It's the end of the show. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Do us a favor, subscribe, rate and review the podcast on iTunes. Leave us a comment on YouTube, anywhere you're listening to it. It really helps us show up and helps other listeners find the show.
And make it easy for us. Just mention us on social media at Empowering Pumps using the hashtag Empowering Industry Podcasts. And you can email us at podcast@empoweringpumps.com.
We'll be back every Monday with a new episode.
So until then, be empowering. This is my favorite part of the week.
The exit, the end.
No.